2, 1, go!
Hello Nidorinas and Nidorinos, welcome to the Orange Islands, where today the Shamudi Keepers are hosting the Pewter Stones, and even though they're at a type disadvantage, they desperately need a victory here today as Colossal and Tyrantrum start out for the Pewter Stones, whereas it's Dragonite and Aerodactyl starting out for the Shamudi Keepers, so they are starting out massive with their pseudo-legendaries. Aerodactyl immediately goes for a crunch onto Tyrantrum, a good hit there, and Dragonite does follow it up with a lick onto Colossal. Doesn't do as much damage though, as Tyrantrum does respond with a Spite, focusing in there on Aerodactyl. It does reduce Aerodactyl's PP by 4, and Colossal going with a Mist Ball onto the Fossil. And that is a nice hit, which also lowers Aerodactyl's special attack. Aerodactyl is more of a physical attacker though, and responds with the Grudge here. So it does want its opponent to bear a grudge, but Dragonite keeping on the offense, goes with the Gear Grind onto Colossal here, a multi-hit move. It's going to try to get all 5 hits. That second hit looks like it actually did more damage, and it only gets the 2 as Tyrantrum sets up a Fire Spin onto Dragonite. Not very effective, but it is going to trap Dragonite in that Vortex, but Colossal with the self-destruct. Colossal has taken itself out of this matchup and takes no one else with it. So immediately gives an early lead to the Shamudi Keepers. That wasn't very effective on Dragonite, on Aerodactyl or Tyrantrum, but Dragonite continues to take damage from that Fire Spin as Gigalith comes out for the Pewter Stones, and immediately with that Sandstream ability kicks up a Sandstorm onto the field. And Aerodactyl now with the Grassy Glide onto Tyrantrum. Surely should have gone for Gigalith, get that super effective damage, but Eerie Impulse now from Dragonite also onto Tyrantrum is going to lower Tyrantrum's special attack here, who responds with an Aeroblast and goes for Aerodactyl. Aerodactyl is taking some hits here, even though that wasn't very effective. It was a critical hit, and a Court Change does fail from Gigalith as Dragonite takes damage from the Sandstorm and the Fire Spin as well. Now if the Pewter Stones win here today, surely they will climb up into the Elite Four as Gigalith is paralyzed after that nuzzle from Aerodactyl. Tyrantrum with taking the not very effective hit there from Dragonite, but responds with a Dark Pulse onto the pseudo-legendary. Dragonite is holding on though as Gigalith with a Sand Attack is going to lower the accuracy of Aerodactyl here, and don't forget Dragonite still taking that Fire Spin damage. Also takes the Sandstorm first. That Fire Spin though should eliminate it, and it does. So the pseudo legendary is the first Pokemon taken out of the Shamudi Keepers as Scyther, the Bug Flying type, comes out for the Keepers, and a Leaf Storm now from Aerodactyl on the Tyrantrum, who holds on. That does lower Aerodactyl's special attack as well. The Scyther with the dual Wing Beat is gonna finish it off, and Tyrantrum is eliminated with that not very effective move. Did only get hit once, didn't need the 2 hits, but Gigalith now with the strength going for Scyther. A very good hit there onto the non-evolved Pokemon. Scyther, one of the few Pokemon in the PokeType League that can still evolve, but Aerodactyl now with an echoed voice onto Gigalith as Omastar comes out for the Pewter Stones, and Scyther with the Stuffed Cheeks, it's going to eat that Leopard Berry and boost its defensive stats here. Now Omastar with its first move of the matchup immediately goes for the Cross Poison onto Scyther, and Gigalith follows it up with a Body Slam onto Aerodactyl, and Aerodactyl is taken out, which is going to level the field here at 4v4 between the Shamudi Keepers and the Pewter Stones. Scyther taking damage from that Sandstorm that's still going, and we have Corviknight now coming out onto the field. That's Scyther with a Magical Leaf onto Omastar. Super effective quad damage, but Omastar actually takes that hit really well considering the circumstances. Now a Play Nice from Corviknight onto Omastar is going to lower Omastar's attack stat here, as Omastar decides to hide under the water, so it's setting up for a dive here. It is going to get that same attack type bonus as a skill swap from Gigalith onto Scyther, switches the Steadfast for the Sandstream here, which means that ability is going to be of no use to Scyther whatsoever, and that Sandstorm finally fades over the field, which Scyther would appreciate, but a Dragon Claw does miss Omastar from Scyther, as well as the Spore from Corviknight, but Omastar with the dive onto Scyther. Scyther takes that hit really well though. Gigalith though follows it up with a Sludge, trying to finish off the Bug type, and it does. Scyther is eliminated from this matchup, and the Pewter Stones have taken the lead. Noivern now coming out, second Dragon type to actually come out for the Shamudi Keepers. We already saw a Dragon type get eliminated for the Pewter Stones as Corviknight with the higher horsepower takes out Omastar. Super effective hit there from Corviknight, And the Shimudi Keepers are doing everything to keep themselves in this matchup. They definitely want the win. They want to climb up into the Masters 8 as that Kinesis lowers Nova's accuracy. And Coaster coming out now for the Pewter Stones, and a foul play from Noivern onto Gigalith as Corviknight now setting up for a dive of its own is going to hide underwater. Surely it needs to go for Gigalith with that move, but a Horn Attack from Caracosta does miss Corviknight, and Corviknight now avoids the Petal Blizzard, but it's going to hit everyone else on the field, including Caracosta. Gigalith doing super effective damage to its own teammate as Noivern with the Gastro Acid onto Gigalith here. He's going to suppress that ability, that Steadfast that gained earlier. And there's that dive from Corviknight hitting Caracosta. Caracosta's still holding on though, and goes with the Baby Doll Eyes, concentrating in on Noivern there to lower its attack stat. Gigalith sets up a grassy terrain so that Pewter Stones will be restoring health because they are planted on the ground. The Shimudi Keepers up in the air are not going to get the benefits of that grassy terrain. And Caracosta definitely needs some health restored, as it's only been on the field for a short period of time, but is an easy target for the Shimudi Keepers already. Noivern though goes with the Morning Sun. It wants some health restored of its own. This could probably get it back to full strength. It definitely gets it back to full strength. So Noivern back at full capacity, and Corviknight now with the rising voltage is going to take Caracosta out of this matchup. And the Shimudi Keepers have taken the lead at this in these dying stages of the matchup. And Gigalith with the lock on now onto Corviknight. Maybe it needs to go for some sheer cold in the next turn. That would be amazing to see. As we have Barbaracle as the last Pokemon coming out for the Pewter Stones, and a Meteor Mash from Noivern onto Gigalith. Super effective, although Gigalith is able to take some heavy hits. Corviknight though follows it up with an echoed voice. They're trying to get Gigalith off this field, who is still paralyzed, remember. Gigalith though goes with the Hydro Cannon and goes for Corviknight with that move. Corviknight taking some serious damage there as Gigalith is able to restore some health thanks to that grassy terrain. Noivern now going with the Scratch. Barbaracle taking its first damage of the matchup, even though it wasn't very effective. And a Trick or Treat now from Barbaracle onto Noivern is going to add that Ghost type into the Dragon Flying type. Corviknight though sets up a Wrap onto Gigalith. They are desperately trying to chip away at this heavy duty Pokemon. Barbaracle restores some health back to full strength with that grassy terrain, and Gigalith also still restoring health. Gigalith very physical Pokemon with that 135 attack stat, 130 defense stat as it takes damage from the Wrap. And Noivern with the Expanding Force still trying to get Gigalith off this field, and Gigalith hangs on, and Barbaracle with a Jaw Lock on a Corviknight. Very good hit there. Neither Pokemon can run away, but Corviknight goes with the Burning Jealousy, hitting both Gigalith and Barbaracle, and Gigalith is still holding on. If it takes any more damage, surely it should be eliminated, but it is still in this matchup. Barbaracle again getting itself back to full strength with that grassy terrain. Gigalith getting just a small portion of health left. It looks like it's hanging on by a slither, but the Wrap, I forgot about the Wrap, and the Wrap has taken it out. Gigalith is eliminated. There is only one Pokemon left for the Pewter Stones. This is exactly what the Shimudi Keepers need. They have the advantage on their home turf. It is a 1v3. Shimudi Keepers with the lead and a grudge. Noivern wants to bear that grudge over Barbaracle, who goes for the head charge. It doesn't affect the Ghost type Noivern, as it did have that Ghost typing added to it earlier, as Noivern with the confusion onto Barbaracle. They are starting to chip away at the Water Rock type here, and Barbaracle with a lick onto Corviknight has left Corviknight with the paralysis. It may be unable to move, but it goes for the Belly Drum, which fails. Noivern though with a Blizzard is going to hit, even with that lower accuracy. Not very effective on Barbaracle, who goes with a Bite, trying to finish Corviknight off here, and it does. That's one Pokemon down by Barbaracle. It needs to take down two more, and one of them is now Hawlucha, who comes out onto the field with that Mold Breaker ability. Now Noivern's still the quickest Pokemon on the field. The speed advantage is on the side of the Keepers, who goes with that Tickle. It lowers Barbaracle's attack and defense. Hawlucha follows it up with a Trick or Treat of its own, so now Barbaracle is going to have that Ghost type added to it, as we have our first time warning of the matchup. Barbaracle with the Sweet Kiss is going to leave Hawlucha with the confused status here. So Hawlucha will need to shake that off, otherwise it may do damage to itself. Noivern sets up a Hail over the field though, so everyone will be taking a bit of damage from that Hail. It doesn't really favour the Shimudi Keepers to have that happen. Hawlucha needs to shake off this confusion though, and goes with the Cross Poison, which does a little very little amount of damage to Barbaracle, who responds with a super effective dual peck. Don't forget Hawlucha is part fighting type. As we get out another time warning, everyone on the field being hit by that hail. Barbaracle is still in this matchup. It could do it as Nova, and with an Ice Fang onto Barbaracle there. Again, not very effective attacks on it, and Hawlucha snaps out of that confusion and goes with the Gastro Acid. Not on the offensive here. Instead, that ability of Barbaracle is suppressed, and again, everyone being hit by that hail. It is still 2 versus 1, Noivern and Hawlucha taking on Barbaracle. Barbaracle doing everything it can to hang on as we are in the dying stages of this matchup. Noivern bounces up into the air, but Hawlucha with a Hydro Pump trying to capitalize on that Brock typing of Barbaracle gets the job done. The Shamuti Keepers have won this matchup. They've been able to hold on desperately as they needed that victory. Unfortunately for the Pewter Stones, they do lose and they drop down to 8th place. They are still in our Masters 8, and the Shamuti Keepers have climbed up to 9th, so they are on the outside looking in, but they are very close. And with a match against Goldenrod Balance the next round, they're going to do everything they can to get into that Masters 8. Whereas the Pewter Stones have a huge task facing the Olivine Ore, who have been a serious threat this season. But our next matchup will be the Pony Canyon Fissure facing the Dewford Combats, who are still yet to win a game. The Pony Canyon Fissure are on a 4-game winning streak. Until then, Nidorinos, thank you so much for watching. Let us know in the comments below who you thought was the best on field. And if you enjoyed what you saw, please leave a like, share, subscribe. But always remember, you are awesome, and I'll see you when you see me.